Hey Titans, I've got a completed army project for you today. First let me say that this is one of the cooler projects that I've worked on since I started the studio. This is a Starship Troopers Arachnid army that is a stand-in for a Tyranid warrior army for Warhammer 40,000. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this sweetness. As you can see, these models have been based on custom bases. These are actually wooden bases that were supplied by the client. I will actually have to find out exactly where he got these from, but I think these are just laser cut circular 40 mils. And what we've gone ahead and done is we have reposed all of the Arachnid warriors, because they have a very wide stance as the model is normally made, to fit onto these 40 mil bases. Because as I stated, the client is going to be running these as Tyranid warriors for his army. He's running a pretty thematic army. And obviously centerpiece is this massive Forge World hierophant. This was a lot of fun to paint. I mean, this thing has just got details all over. Though attaching it to the base was a little less fun because of all the spindly arms and everything, but we did a pretty good job of reinforcing the attachment points, and we also mounted it on two clear rods, as you can see right there. So it's got 6 points of contact with the base and is very stable because of it. So let's talk about some of the details on this project. First, we're matching. We're doing a matching scheme, matching a paint scheme. We were matching the Arachnid style that you see in the Starship Troopers movie. Now, when we say we were matching the movie, the models don't actually line up perfectly with the anatomy of the bugs in the movies. These models are actually out of production models as well. They were made by Mongoose, I believe, at one point for the Starship Troopers game, which is now defunct. And they're kind of hard to find from what I understand. Now, to talk about the paint scheme a little bit. This is actually, normally we would consider this a minimal level paint job because there isn't a whole lot of colors going on here. You know, there's just mostly the base black, the red, the yellows as you see everywhere, like a dark wash over everything, and then some gray highlights on some of the limbs. Other than the bases themselves and the gore on all the dead Starship Troopers, which are, you know, just 40k Cadians that we kind of chopped up. Now, normally, we would call this a minimal level because of the color scheme. But the sheer amount of freehand striping that we had to do on these things, I mean, it's just everywhere. Like, one thing you take a look at is even the bottom of the abdomens right here, on all of them, are striped and made to look very nice. So there's a huge amount of attention to detail on this project. So while we would normally consider this a minimal project because of the color combinations, we actually consider this one a tabletop level because of the freehand involved. If there were more colors involved, then this would go to high detail because of the freehand. But because it's still only a minimum of 3 or 4 colors, we kept it at tabletop in terms of what level we consider this. Now, something that's really cool about this army is you'll notice that the back row guys, they all have these built-up bases. So I'm going to pull one of these out here and you take a look at it. We used a corkboard and sand combination to get these really cool-looking sort of desert Clendathu bases. If you have not seen Starship Troopers, Clendathu is the bug homeworld. And we just went for that sort of that desert look that they had in the movie towards the end of the movie. And one of the things you'll notice is that the ones in the front have, you know, some dead guardsmen all over the place. This is the Starship Troopers mobile infantry is what we should call it. We did a lot of cool gore effects here. So we have this guardsman who's like pointing towards something, holding his gun and using it as a butt as he like drags himself forward after this bug has just like ripped him apart. And then some of them you have little things like, you know, that's just a head that is just laying there at this point. And this one you've got like a random leg sticking out. This body over here looks like it's just been eviscerated at this point. Like, well, not eviscerated. He looks like he's lost his head and had his arms torn off, and there's just gore and blood everywhere. We used hot glue to do the gore effects, because where this is a lower level project, we were a little limited on budget as to what we could use. We couldn't go too in depth, but I think the effect, especially for the tight budget that the client had, turned out really awesome. This is my favorite out of the whole bunch. You got this guy, and this guardsman's about to get his. You know, he's like, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me, and he's got this, you know, grenade that he's about to throw at it. And the gloss effects really help, you know, pop the blood everywhere. So you've got all these little bits here. Some you just have war gear that's covered in gore in different spots. So, pretty awesome and amazing project. I believe there is 4, 8, 9, 10, I'm counting. I believe there's 38 of these total. Yep, 38. Sorry, a bit tired, been up a long time painting these. So, let's take a look at the big hierophant now. The hierophant was a little bit more challenging. Now this guy we also did to a tabletop level as well, but the hierophant, being such a large model with so many more details, we were able to do a little bit more with him. The first thing you'll notice is that his carapace is a little bit more detailed. It's got, you know, subtle oranges and reds mixed in. We did a lot of the same dark washing all over everything. And to hook it in, the client requested that we kind of try to match him a little bit in style to the bugs. So we did this this tiger striping all over the place, you know, to kind of help him tie in with the rest of the army. Now, I bet you're wondering, why green? Well, other than the fact that it's just a very nice looking scheme in general for green, the color of the bug's blood is actually green, so I figured we'd go ahead and make all the exposed little areas, like on the joints and the ligaments, we'd make those green as well. Plus some of the claws as well. Helps really make him pop out against the background, and he's a bigger bug, so he's going to be a little bit different from the others. All of the Starship Trooper bugs tend to be like unique colorings anyway. As you can see, we did a lot of mixing with the greens to get different variant colors in there. We based with like a deep green, and then we built up with a lime green and then a yellow green. And I'm really happy with how this guy turned out. And then you can also see down here, he's also got the special basing where you got like melting guys, you know, as he's ran by. You got one guy over there who's just been torn up. Plus there's just like little sections of blood everywhere as this thing goes by. And the big green maw, you know, all drooly and nice and nasty looking. You got the big guns. The guns actually had a lot of build-up areas that we did. We wanted to like variate the guns just to kind of show, because there's all these different spots on the guns where you can just do all this cool stuff. You'll also notice that there's a slight sheen over all the models. We went with a semi-gloss sealer just as a bit of an overspray, not on the full model, but just sort of a top-down spray. Now the reason we went with this is to kind of present a bit of an organic wet effect. Because the bugs do tend to be, you know, this isn't armor. This is, you know, chitin, essentially. It's their carapace. So we wanted to achieve a semi-wet effect, you know, as if the bugs are moving about and all that jazz. I'm doing some slow pans around here so you guys get a good look at this. So this whole army is a tabletop level army. If you want to get something like this commissioned, you can just send an email to projects@titanterrainstudio.com, and we'd be more than happy to do a free quote for you. You can also follow us on all of our social medias. We are on Instagram. We are on, obviously, YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Pinterest. We're all over the place. You can also follow us on our blog. And we're doing a lot of cool stuff with armies coming up. So that is our Starship Troopers Clendathu Tyranid army. You can check the liner notes for links to the full photo album and the blog post that will talk more in depth about how we went about with the paint scheme. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more cool armies, terrain, and casting stuff.